Hi, everybody. We're here at Tiger Talk every Tuesday night here at Station 1, and I've got the man, Jim Colllins, with us, and the Wittenberg Tigers. A tough one, Coach, at homecoming this past Saturday, but man, two powers going at it. Of course, you know the rivalry of Wabash, but this game was a battle all the way through.
There's no doubt our guys played extremely hard, and we made a lot of plays in all facets. You know, it just wasn't. They made one more play. Really, when it comes right down to it, they made the plays at the end of the game, and that's the difference because it was two teams that were really evenly balanced. If you watched the game, you could tell the teams were really close in talent. And we kept going back and forth. We responded. We'd score. Our defense would get the ball back for us. They'd stop us. They might score. We'd respond with a score. And it was that type of game where it went back and forth. Both teams were able to make important stops when they had to, score when they had to. But ultimately, they got the one more touchdown, and that was the difference in the game.
Wabash has 553 total yards offense. The Tigers go 438. Both teams. Amazing day. Coach, talk a little bit about, it was 21 all at halftime. What did you say to your guys?
You know, it was like stay on task, really. You know, some of the things that we had to do to make adjustments, we did. And, it was just all about, playing each play and finishing. And unfortunately, we weren't able to finish the game like we wanted to, but there was never a point in that second half where I felt like we gave in or gave up, and we just played hard, continued to play hard right till the end. And even when they had that drive there at the end of the game, our defense was playing their hearts out. We couldn't get that one stop. And give Wabash credit. They made the plays when they had to. Their quarterback played extremely well. He
really did
a great game, and he was about as accurate as I've seen a quarterback at this level. He made play after play, and their guys made some catches. And as I said, the outcome is not what we wanted, but the effort was there. The execution at times was really, really good. It wasn't enough, and
right.
That's the bottom line. That's what happens in sports. You get two teams that are evenly matched. Someone's got to win. Someone's got to lose.
I think that this NCAC league is a lot tougher in the sense that your top 4 or 5 teams are really consistently strong, and you're going to have some battles. I mean, you really are. And you're talking about their quarterback. He had Liam Thompson had 4 TDs, 35 of 45 for 434 yards, and yet Colin Brown, our quarterback, 20 of 28 for 265 yards, 5 touchdowns. He just absolutely played well, and like I said, South had 6 catches for 65 yards. Drew Sterrett, who we'll get to talk to here in a few minutes, had 2 touchdowns and had 95 yards receiving. Talk a little bit about Colin and these receivers.
I think what sets things up for Colin and the receivers is the run game. And Gross and Anderson and Reed Hall all ran the ball well. Wish we ran a little bit better in terms of a couple of the situations, but I thought we did a good job establishing the ground game, and I think that's what sets up the play action. Both of Drew Sterrett's touchdowns were on play action, had a couple other touchdowns. Sousa's touchdown was on play action. So I think the balance of the run, the pass, and then we've got a group of receivers that you can't just focus on one of them.
That's right.
And it's hard to cover all of them. So someone's going to find their way open, and right now, Colin is about as efficient as you can be, and obviously we had a turnover in there Saturday, but you look at his accuracy when guys are open, getting the ball to the right guy on time, and he did a good job. He's done it every week. He's completing over 70% of his passes. His efficiency's high, and at the end of the day, we got to, he's getting better every week, and as a team, I think that's the steps we got to take every day. Just get better, because as you said, Jim. There's 5 teams in this league.
There's no doubt
that every the margin's very small, and you've got to prepare and improve and then show up on Saturday and play a great game in order to win.
That's so true. Colin Brown again spreading it around, which is really important. And again, the balance of your offense was there. You mentioned Garrett Gross, 19 carries. He had 105 yards, which was amazing. And then he had 5 catches out of the backfield, and 1 for a touchdown. Bryce Anderson and Reed Hall had 12 carries for 32 yards. So again, a terrific day for them. Defensively, some of the same names. Cam had 10 tackles. You had Anthony Pedro and Dane Flatter with 9 tackles. Christian Sweet, who's going to be with us tonight. I've always wanted to say, man, he's sweet. But he had 1 interception. And that's the thing I've noticed with your football teams this year is forcing turnovers. And we saw, unfortunately, a couple of our own turnovers. In big games, that's so critical, isn't it?
It really is. You know, the turnover at the end of the half didn't hurt us because it was a Hail Mary attempt,
Right.
but the turnover on the first drive of the second half down in their zone.
Because you were driving.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
were driving. You know,
they
that
couldn't
was,
stop you.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we turned it over. We fumbled. That was our first fumble in 4 games, all season, and it's
Right.
unfortunate it happened at that time. And getting back to Christian Sweet, he made a sweet interception.
He
I mean, it really was.
I like that. I like
the ball was overthrown, and he did a great job of turning and running and getting it. And that was one of those plays that when you look back at the game, unfortunately, we got stopped on a 3rd and short on that drive because when you get those interceptions, Jim, you got to turn those interceptions into points. And we weren't able to capitalize on a great play by Christian.
You know, it's interesting, and I'll talk to Christian a little bit, but not only does he intercept, but he runs it for 17 yards. And I know, I'm going to pick on him a little bit, and we'll see what he says. But, when you run it like that, you start going, man, maybe I need to have more of these. But also, you look at the offense. So defensively, Tony Calavini and Mike Knock and Eli Rennick. I thought Eli played extremely strong and physical. They had sacks on the day.
They did, and I'll tell you something about Eli. Eli's only a freshman,
Gosh.
and he also had to take over the long snapping duties because Jaden Saragua got hurt and did a fine job of that. And he's getting better every week, and you can tell Eli, he's got a great future ahead of him. And then, I thought we did a good job of pressuring the quarterback. We got hits on the quarterback. We got some hurries. Once again, they did what Wabash does a really good job of is they get rid of the ball quick.
Right, they do.
And he's a tough guy to go
Liam
sack
does.
because of how quick he'll get rid of the football, quick game RPO. So, just to get any pressure at all was going to be a challenge, and we got a little bit of pressure on him.
Coach, big question. How does a football team go an entire game and not have a penalty? I'm just saying, and one of those, it just occurred to me, it was on one of the plays in the game late where you guys stopped them. I think somebody came out of the backfield and it was a cut block, and everybody in the stands, all of us broadcasters were saying, that's automatic, that's 15 yards, and they got away with it. But how does a team not have a penalty? I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
I've never heard of it.
In all of football.
But it was really a game where there really weren't a lot of penalties.
Right. It was so fast.
And that was one of those plays that it was, for us, from the view we had from the sideline, it looked like that block was below the waist. And,
it looked,
the officials,
sure did.
the explanation to me was the contact was made above the waist and then he dropped. And if that was their interpretation, then they're going to make that call. That's not the call for us to make. But and I say this all the time. There's going to be calls that go your way and go against you. At the end of the season, it's probably all going to balance out. You've got to, when you get in a situation where you get a penalty called against you, you got to overcome it, and that's the adversity that a team has to, have the ability to overcome. And we did. We had a holding penalty, and we got put in a 1st and 20, and we ended up getting the first down. So those situations, if your mindset is strong, you're not going to worry about penalties. You're not going to worry about whether it was a good call or a bad call. You're just going to move on to the next play.
It's so noticeable how hard we fought, and up to the very end, perseverance was there. I mean, you had to really like the attitude of your team.
And even when they went up 42-28, our kickoff return went, close to 80 yards, and then we scored on the next play and right back, getting momentum back, and there's still 5-something left on the clock, so you feel like you're right there still. So, our team, like I said, the energy on the sidelines was outstanding. We were fighting the whole way. There wasn't one play that you looked at where you pointed to and said, well, our effort wasn't very good. I thought overall, offensively, defensively, special teams, the effort was over 90%. It was in the high 90s. So that's what you're looking for out of a football team. A little bit better execution in a couple of those critical situations on offense and defense, and the score is different. But I'm proud of the way we fought. And at the end of the day, like I said, you learn from this one. There's a lot of season left. Everything's still out in front of us, and we got to battle and get ready to play this next one.
Coach, later in the evening, DePaul goes to Denison and beats a Denison team 17-13, a battle. And now, they're undefeated, DePaul. Now you go this week to DePaul. And like you said, you knew at the beginning of the season this would be a tough stretch. You'd have to play your best football. And we've played really good over there the last few years. So,
and like I said, if you look at last year's game, 17-14 last year could have gone either way.
Right.
And that's the way these games are going to play out. Rarely are you going to see one of these teams in the top half of the league blow one of the other teams out. It's going to be a battle. Denison, Wabash, the week before was a battle. Us, Wabash. Denison, DePaul last week. It's just those are the type of games you're going to play in this league right now, and you got to bring it. You got to bring your A game when you play the top teams in the league.
Coach, tell us a little bit about Christian Sweet and Drew Stair. They're going to be coming on here in a minute. Talk about each guy.
First of all, I'll talk about Christian's been a great leader. And, when you look at our secondary, we've got a young group. And Christian, being the senior in that group, having the maturity, the work ethic, setting the tone and an example. And then the other thing I'll say, Christian's, he's battling. This is a guy, hip pointer, and you play this game at a really high physical level. And I don't remember Christian Sweet. He didn't miss a play in practice.
Wow.
He's just a tough guy and really, like I said, leads by example, is vocal enough so that guys understand, when he speaks, it means something. I think he's playing really well right now. Big play last week in that game, and we're happy to have him. Now, Drew has had, scored some points in these last couple. He's made a lot of big plays for us,
really
explosive plays. When you start looking at our yards per attempt and yards per completion, it's close to being right up there with the top teams in the country. And a big part of it is having guys that can get behind the DBs. And Drew has consistently gotten behind people and made big plays for us. And we got to have it again this week.
Coach, good luck this week. And like we said, I know you always tiger up, and our team will be ready. And we wish you the best. Get a win for us.
Appreciate it, Jim. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.